Hello everyone and welcome back to Mrs. History. Today we're looking at something really important and honestly pretty dramatic. We're exploring the decolonisation of Ireland. That means how Ireland broke free from British rule. It's a story that spans over a century. It involves rebellions, civil war, assassinations and a peace deal that changed everything. And spoiler alert, in some ways it isn't even fully finished today. So let's get into it. So what were the causes? Well, Ireland had been part of Britain's empire for centuries. By the early 20th century, it was officially part of the United Kingdom. But for many Irish people, particularly the Catholic Irish, life under British rule meant inequality, exclusion, and injustice. They were shut out of key jobs, shut out of power, and many of them were fed up. What most Irish people wanted was home rule, not full independence, just their own parliament in Dublin. The ability to govern themselves within the United Kingdom sounds pretty reasonable, right? But not everyone agreed. In the north of Ireland, a region called Ulster, there was a large Protestant community, mostly descended from English and Scottish settlers. These people were called Unionists. They wanted Ireland to stay part of the UK, governed from London. And when Home Rule started to look like a real possibility, they threatened violent uprising to stop it. So right from the start, before a single shot had been fired, you have a deeply divided Ireland. Two communities, two visions, and no middle ground. In 1914, the British government actually passed the Bill for Home Rule, but the First World War broke out and they delayed it. Some Republicans weren't prepared to wait. On Easter Monday 1916, around 1,600 protesters, led by Patrick Pearse and James Connolly, took control of key buildings in Dublin. They made the General Post Office their headquarters. They declared Ireland a republic and proclaimed themselves a provisional government. But after approximately 6 days of fighting, British soldiers crushed the rising, its leaders were captured and then executed. So here's the thing about the Easter Rising. It failed militarily but succeeded politically. The British execution of the rising's leaders horrified the Irish public. People who'd been unsure about independence suddenly supported it. By December 1918 general election, Sinn Féin won about 73 of the 105 Irish seats, the Republican political party. Rather than take their seats in London, the Sinn Féin MPs refused to go. Instead, they set up their own parliament in Dublin and declared Ireland a republic. This time, war followed. So a key event was the Irish War of Independence, which began in 1919. The military wing of Sinn Féin, the Irish Republican Army, or the IRA, organised the resistance against British rule. The British responded by sending in the Black and Tans, many of them veterans from the First World War, named after the mix of police and army uniforms they wore. They became notorious for appalling violence, sexual violence, torture, massacres, and the burning of homes. Their actions caused international outrage and hardened Irish determination to fight on. In December 1921, Michael Collins, Director of Intelligence, signed the Anglo-Irish Treaty. The deal gave most of Ireland independence, but it left 6 counties of Ulster inside the United Kingdom, and this became known as Northern Ireland. So the island was now divided. A consequence was that many Republicans were furious. They'd fought for United Ireland. The result was an 11-month civil war, Irish against Irish, and eventually the treaty side won. But the island stayed divided, and that division is what drives everything that comes next. So what was life like in Northern Ireland? Well, the government was dominated by Protestants and the Catholic minority faced discrimination. They were shut out of key jobs such as the civil service, the judiciary and the police. They faced unfair treatment in housing and their votes counted for less. For decades, this inequality simmered. It created deep resentment and the causes of what came next were built right here in years of exclusion and injustice. By the late 1960s, a civil rights movement had emerged in Northern Ireland. Catholic protesters were demanding equal rights, but they were met by Protestant loyalist counter-protesters. Violence broke out. The British government sent in an army to keep the peace, but this made things worse. Clashes between the Unionist militants, Republican militants, and the British Army escalated rapidly. Northern Ireland descended into a period of sustained conflict that became known simply as the Troubles, and it would last for 30 years. A notorious single event of the Troubles came in January 1972. British paratroopers in the city of Londonderry known to nationalists as Derry, opened fire on unarmed civilians during a civil rights march. 13 people were killed. This became known as Bloody Sunday. It caused international outrage. A later British inquiry confirmed the victims were innocent and the shootings unjustified. Bloody Sunday didn't just cause grief, it dramatically increased support for the Republican cause. The key Republican paramilitary group was the Provisional IRA, which took its name from the Provisional Army Council formed when it split from the official IRA in December 1969. It pursued a 30-year campaign of bombings and shootings both in Ireland and on the British mainland. Their goal was to make Northern Ireland ungovernable. On the other side, the largest loyalist group was the Ulster Defence Association, or the UDA. It also committed frequent terrorist attacks throughout the Troubles. By the time it was over, 3,600 people had been killed. 1 in 5 families in Ulster had lost someone. In 1997, Tony Blair's Labour government opened direct negotiations with Sinn Féin under its leader Gerry Adams. The result was the Good Friday Agreement of 1998. This landmark deal formally guaranteed the rights of the Irish nationalist minority, including guaranteed representation in a new Northern Ireland Assembly. It removed border checks. It established close cooperation between the Irish and the British government. After decades of violence, it finally restored something like normal life for people on both sides of the border. So let's quickly pull this together. The causes were centuries of British rule over Ireland, discrimination against Catholics in Northern Ireland, the failure to deliver home rule, and the violent suppression of the Easter Rising. The key events were the Easter Rising of 1916, the War of Independence, the partition in 1921, the Civil Rights Movement, Bloody Sunday in 1972, and the 30 Years of Troubles. And the consequence was Irish independence for most of Ireland, the partition of Northern Ireland, and ultimately the Good Friday Agreement, which brought peace but left Ireland still divided. Thank you so much for watching. If this has helped, please give it a like and subscribe to Mrs. B History for more revision videos. If you're studying this topic, then check out other videos in the series or check out Mrs. B History on TikTok. Please feel free to drop any questions below. Good luck with your revision.